8 things that happen when you reach Sophia. Welcome to Dr. Gabor Maté Inner Healing. This channel is dedicated to understanding trauma, emotional patterns, and the hidden wounds that shape our lives. Here, we explore healing, self-awareness, and the journey back to your true self. If you're ready to understand yourself on a deeper level, you in the right place. The rarest awakening. You think awakening will feel like light pouring into your life. You think it will feel peaceful, soft, rewarding. Reaching Sophia is not an upgrade. It is a demolition. It is the collapse of every comforting lie you ever used to protect your ego. And if you are still looking for inspiration instead of confrontation, you are not ready for it. You don't to reach Sophia by collecting quotes. You don't reach it by stacking books on your shelf or watching endless videos about growth. You reach it when the performance ends, when the mask slips, and you don't rush to put it back on. When you see yourself clearly, without filters, without excuses, without the dramatic story you've been telling to make your weaknesses look poetic. Most people want to feel enlightened. Very few want to be exposed. Because Sophia is exposure. It strips away the identity you carefully built to survive. The strong one. The misunderstood one. The nice one. The independent one. It shows you how much of that identity was strategy, not truth. You learned how to act in ways that earned approval. You learned how to hide insecurity behind humor. You learned how to call avoidance peace. And you became so good at it that you started believing your own act. Sophia does comfort that version of you. It confronts it. You will see how often you chose distraction over discipline. How often you said you were tired when you were just afraid. How often you blamed timing when it was really hesitation. That realization won't feel spiritual. It will feel humiliating. It will sting, because deep down, you always knew you were capable of more. You just did. To want to carry the responsibility that comes with knowing. Here, as the brutal truth, most of your suffering wasn't random. It was repeated. And repetition means participation. You stayed in conversations that drained you. You entertained thoughts that weakened you. You tolerated standards that were beneath your potential. Not because you didn't know better, but because change would require courage. And courage threatens comfort. Sophia does not arrive when you feel ready. It arrives when you are tired of your own excuses. It is the moment you stop saying, "That is just how I am." It is the moment you realize personality is not destiny. Habits are not identity. Trauma is not permission to remain small. That is the kind of awareness that rearranges your internal structure. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You might think awakening is about gaining knowledge. It's not. It's about losing illusions. You lose the illusion that people are responsible for your emotional stability. You lose the illusion that you have endless time to become who you are meant to be. You lose the illusion that comfort equals safety. And without those illusions, you stand alone with one undeniable fact. Your life reflects your standards. That is not motivational. It is confrontational. You will want to resist that. You will want to soften it. You will want to find an exception to protect your ego. But Sophia is ruthless. It does not negotiate with denial. It shows you patterns. It shows you your role in those patterns, and then it waits. This is where most people retreat. They go back to noise, back to scrolling, back to blaming, back to surrounding themselves with people who validate their mediocrity. Because clarity demands change, and change demands loss. When you approach Sophia, something inside you starts dying. Not your ambition. Not your strength, your dependency. Your need to be seen as good. Your need to be right. Your need to be liked. Those cravings begin to feel childish, heavy, embarrassing. And that feels lonely. Because the identity you built was social. It was crafted to survive environments, to avoid rejection, to gain control. When it dissolves, you feel exposed, raw, unprotected. You can hide behind sarcasm. You can hide behind victimhood. You can hide behind business. You face yourself. And here is the shock. No one warns you about. Sophia does. Make you feel powerful at first. It makes you feel small. Because you finally see how much you don't control, how much you've been pretending, how much energy you've wasted trying to look stable instead of becoming stable. That is the threshold. You either turn back into comfort or you walk forward into truth. There's no applause waiting for you there, no crowd cheering your transformation, no dramatic moment of recognition. Just a quiet, unsettling awareness that your life is now in your hands fully, and that responsibility is heavy. You can't blame your past. You can't blame your circumstances. You can't blame the people who failed you. You can acknowledge them, yes, but you can't hide behind them anymore. Sophia removes your hiding places. It demands that you grow up internally, that you stop romanticizing your wounds, that you stop weaponizing your pain, that you stop pretending confusion when the answer is discipline. If you are still searching for comfort, you will resent this level of clarity. If you are still attached to being perceived a certain way, you will resist it. If you are still in love with your excuses, you will sabotage it. But if something in you is tired of your own patterns, truly tired, then you are close. Because reaching Sophia begins when you stop asking for relief and start demanding truth. And truth will not pat you on the back. It will look you in the eyes and ask, "Are you done pretending yet?" When you reach Sophia, the first thing that hits you is an uncomfortable, undeniable truth. You have been complicit in your own suffering, not accidentally. Not because life was cruel, but because every time you tolerated what drained you, every time you accepted less than you deserved, every time you excused laziness, fear, or distraction, you participated in your own stagnation. Most people are terrified to hear this because it requires a brutal kind of honesty. You can't sugarcoat it. You can't decorate it with spiritual cliches. It is a direct confrontation, your life, your choices, your compromises. That is it. And when you realize it, there's no comfort, no pity, only the raw clarity of accountability. The second shock is how it rearranges your relationships. Most people assume growth strengthens bonds. Sophia proves the opposite. You begin to shed people who thrived on your smaller self, on the version you let perform for approval or acceptance. They weren't bad, they just weren't. Built to meet the real, unmasked you. And that's devastating. You all feel loneliness creeping in, because the friendships and connections you took for granted were built on your ability to hide. Pretending becomes unbearable. Boundaries become non-negotiable. Silence becomes more powerful than conversation. People leave and you don't chase them. That is not cruelty, honesty. That is what awakening demands. Then comes the ego panic. This is the one most fear the most. Sophia exposes how much you crave validation, how often you acted strong while terrified, how often you wrapped mediocrity in the illusion of sophistication or self-care. Every small excuse, every justification, every story you told yourself about why you could act differently or achieve more, every one of them is exposed in cold, clear light. And it's painful. The ego resists by creating doubt, by whispering that you were being too harsh, too extreme, too impatient. It tries to drag you back into distraction. Most people listen. Most people retreat. But not if you are committed. This awakening forces a shift in perception. Suddenly, you stop chasing external validation. You stop worrying about whether others approve of your choices. You stop seeking the illusion of comfort. Your energy is no longer scattered. You notice the patterns you once ignored, the repeated behaviors, the endless compromises, the excuses that once felt harmless. And instead of despairing, you begin to see the possibility of mastery. The mastery of your mind, your actions, your time. You start asking sharper questions. Is this aligned with truth? Does this serve my growth? Am I pretending? Not comfort. Not ego. Truth. And truth is harsh. It strips away the spiritual fluff. It does hand you peace in soft whispers. It slaps you awake. It makes you face the parts of yourself that are cowardly, distracted, or complicit. It leaves you standing in clarity that most people avoid at all costs. You will not feel like a hero. You will feel exposed. You will feel small. And that is exactly the point. Sophia does not make you feel good, it makes you feel real. And here is the final, unavoidable truth. The longer you resist, heavier your life becomes. Because every time you return to distractions, every time you justify weakness, every time you cling to comfort over truth, you accumulate debt inside yourself. Emotional debt, moral debt, spiritual debt. Sophia forces you to pay it or carry it forever. That is not motivational fluff. That is reality. The path forward is brutal, but it is real. And real is the only thing that lasts. Reaching Sophia is not about becoming better in a conventional sense. It is about becoming honest, about dismantling illusion, complacency, and self-deception, about staring into the truth of your choices and realizing that no one else will do it for you. No teacher, no guide, no system, no external miracle. Only you. And the moment you accept that, something terrifying and liberating happens. You are free from pretending, and you can finally start creating from clarity instead of chaos. Do you see it? This is the threshold. The point where most turn back. The moment when your own courage is tested. The moment when your excuses are stripped bare. You either retreat into noise, into distraction, into comfort, or you walk forward, exposed but alive, into truth. Sophia doesn't wait for the willing. It waits for the honest, the relentless, the ones willing to confront themselves without flinching. And the choice is yours: continue pretending, or face yourself fully and never look back. When Sophia settles in, something inside you starts to change in ways you never expected. You stop reacting to life as if it personal. Opinions, criticism, praise, they no longer hijack your mind. You stop chasing meaning because you realize meaning is not found outside, it is created. Every thought, every action, every decision becomes a reflection of your internal alignment rather than a response to external noise. The chaos around you still exists, but it no longer controls your state. Silence, once uncomfortable, becomes a weapon. Presence becomes a strength. You no longer argue to win, you speak to align. You no longer cling to outcomes, you let truth reveal its own path. Your decisions become sharper, faster, less burdened by ego. The small dramas that once consumed you evaporate, because you see them for what they are: distractions. You no longer seek validation, because the mirror you care about most is the one inside. Comfort and convenience lose their seductive power because truth demands sacrifice. You begin to notice how often you compromised for ease, how often you ignored the subtle nudges that urged growth, and now you cannot ignore them. They are too loud, too insistent, too unavoidable. You begin to distinguish between action that serves alignment and action that serves habit. No longer are you motivated by emotion alone, because emotions are fleeting. You act from principle, from clarity, from responsibility. You stop pretending that chaos is spiritual or that avoidance is self-care. Each decision is a test. Are you hiding or are you facing? Are you growing or are you shrinking? This is not philosophical fluff. It is the grind of internal authority. Every moment tests you. Every temptation challenges you. And every time you choose clarity over comfort, you reshape your reality. There's a subtle but profound shift in your presence. People notice it even if they can't explain it. You carry less energy for drama, less energy for seeking approval, less energy for performing, and paradoxically, this absence of need draws respect, curiosity, and influence, not because you seek it, but because truth always has its weight. You no longer need applause. You no longer need recognition. You no longer need to justify yourself. You simply embody it. Your alignment becomes visible, and it commands its own authority that now it. It's time to stop pretending you are ready. You say you want awakening, but do you really? Because reaching Sophia isn't a hobby. It isn't something you can schedule between comfort and distraction. It is raw, relentless, and it demands everything you've been hiding from: your excuses, your fears, your laziness, your compromises. Most people think growth is about adding something: more knowledge, more habits, more positivity. Sophia proves the opposite. Growth is subtraction. It is removing illusions, cutting attachments, destroying the comfort zones you've been clinging to like security blankets. It is brutal. It's merciless. And it is exactly why most people will never reach it. If you want to reach Sophia, you have to ask yourself some uncomfortable questions. Where are you pretending? Where are you hiding behind excuses? Where are you tolerating mediocrity while calling it peace or self-care? Because the answers are not convenient. The answers are sharp. They are inconvenient, and they will demand change you are not used to. And that change does to wait for clarity. It doesn't wait for the perfect time. It doesn't wait for motivation. It demands action in the moment. You remove one illusion today. You stop one excuse. You face one fear. Just one. That is enough to start the chain reaction. That's enough to awaken a part of yourself you've been lying to for years. Sophia does come with fireworks. It does come with applause. It does give permission. It arrives quietly, but its presence is absolute. It slaps you awake by removing your crutches and leaving you standing in truth. And you realize then, either you embrace it fully, or you go back to sleep, heavier than before, knowing exactly what you are avoiding. So here, as the final challenge, stop negotiating with weakness, stop hiding behind comfort, stop tolerating excuses, stop playing small. Look at your life honestly, and do the work your fear has been avoiding. Take one step toward clarity today, no permission, no applause, no shortcuts. Just relentless, unflinching alignment with truth. Because most people will never reach Sophia not because it's rare, but because honesty terrifies them. Will you let fear win? Or will you take the step, face the truth, and finally be unmasked? The choice is yours, and there's no going back.